Today we are honored to have Dr.Chakree Chumvisoot Wattanasiri from the School of Integrative Medicine, who will share his expertise on this. I think today's session we will please ensure that your audio and video settings are working properly. If you have any questions, please
เสียงมันขาดหายๆหรือเปล่าครับ is the
โปรแกร
sound
มเสียงหายนิดนึงค่ะ
the sound is like not smooth
let me welcome.
เดี๋ยวนะครับเมื่อกี้เสียงมันหายนึกถึงคิวผมยังใช่ไหม
อาจารย์เริ่มเลยก็ได้ค่ะ น้องน่าจะเน็ตไม่ดีค่ะอาจารย์
Okay, so I think the moderator's microphone is a bit not good. So before we start, I will put up a link to my slides. Okay, เอ่อเดี๋ยวโฮสต์สามารถพินข้อความของผมได้ใช่ไหมครับ เดี๋ยวจะเอาลิงก์ของ PowerPoint ให้ครับ Workshop แต่ว่าตรงนี้มีบุคคลภายนอกด้วยใช่ไหม ไม่ใช่แค่ของบัณฑิตเนาะ
ใช่ค่ะ มีภายนอกด้วยค่ะอาจารย์ อันนี้หนู
โอเค
ตั้งอาจารย์เป็นโคโฮสเรียบร้อยแล้วค่ะ
โอเคครับ แต่ว่าเอ่อคือพอดีว่าไอตัว power supply ที่บ้านเนี่ย เริ่มนิดนึง อย่าตั้งเป็นโฮสต์นะครับ เคยเป็นโฮสต์แล้วพอมันคอมดับ แล้วก็ทุกคนหายไปหมดเลย
ได้เลยค่ะอาจารย์
Okay, so I put up the slides. I think it's in the chat right now, and can I pin this in Google? Okay, I'm not sure how to do that, but if any participants, if your friends come after this, Control C, Control V, and continue the the content. โอเคงั้นเดี๋ยวฝากเจ้าหน้าที่ครับถ้าสมมติว่ามีใครมาทีหลังแล้วก็พอไม่ได้สไลด์ก็ก๊อปแปะอันนี้ให้เขาเรื่อยๆเลยกัน คือผมก็พิมพ์ไม่ค่อยจะเป็นเหมือนกัน โอเค so let me share my slides sharing here it is Dun-dun-dun. Okay, so my slides up and running. If it's okay, you can do like this. Okay, thank you, Rennie. You're a very nice participant. Okay, microphone on, transcribe on. Okay, that should be fine. Okay, so good morning, everybody. So thank you very much for coming on a very cold Saturday morning because normally we're in bed, right, in our blankets and stuff. My house right now is I think it's like 21 degrees. So I'm very freezing. If my voice becomes like scrappy or something, please don't mind me. I have some hot tea right here to help survive. Okay, so for this session, I was assigned to talk about the ethics and morality in academic plagiarism. But when I look into the schedule, actually, it's a bit broader than just plagiarism. So because if we talk about plagiarism and we talk about ethics, I will say it's unethical and then done. We won't need to have a workshop at all. So the topic here will be a bit broader, more onto scientific misconduct. Okay, there's some pop-up going on. I'm just gonna press OK. Okay, nothing wrong happened. Okay, so introduce myself again before I start. My name is Chakree Chumvisoot Wattanasiri. My background is a pharmacist and I have a PhD in chemical synthesis. So not that quite much of a clinical training, but more of a basic science training. This is like a hybrid, 50-50. And right now I am the assistant secretary for the MFU ethics committee. So if everybody wants to submit something about ethics, you can contact me. The process is long. You'll be angry. That's fine. We know that. It's normal. And this is my email down here if you have any questions afterwards. And also, I am at the School of Integrative Medicine. So, okay. So let's look into the outline. So for today, I will be going through these like 5 topics in the first part. That starts from the research misconduct, going into authorships, journal, deceptive journals, journal quality, and how should you select journals. And then that is like the first half. We have a small break. And after that, I have one case study that I want to like discuss with you guys. It's quite new. It's about research integrity. It's new in this side of the world, in Southeast Asia, but it's quite a norm more on the UK, US side. So I think our countries are going towards that trend. So I just want you guys to see firsthand how they do it. Okay. Let's start with the first one. So the first one is research misconduct. So there are 3 main words here: plagiarism, falsification, and fabrication. Okay. So I just got this nice picture. They say lots of scientists sometimes they like to cook the results, meaning they just go into the room and they just like think of a number and type in some things in the table and hit analyze and bam, they have a very fancy graph. And sometimes they get away with that. But nowadays, thank you to AI, we are seeing lots of these and we are detecting lots of these discrepancy. Okay, so first of all, definitions. What does research misconduct mean? So research misconduct, I took this from the, it's called the Office of Research Integrity. It's a institute in the US. So they have all compilation of all the research, all the misconduct, everything. So they say the 3 main research misconduct is something that should not be done in research and in experiments. So that is fabrication. Fabrication is like you are making up something. So that thing is not real, but you fabricate, you just like make it up. So are those data or those results meaningful? Actually, no. They have no use in science, and sometimes it can even be damaging. The second one is falsification. So it's false. It's not correct. But the difference is that falsification starts with something. So you did some experiments. Let's say you did like maybe 2 experiments and you see like, okay, the trend is like increasing a little bit, and you manipulate. You adjust some numbers like, okay, you got 10 and you say, maybe I read it wrong. It should be like 11. It's like 10 point something. So you manipulate it up to 11. Or in some cases, you don't change them, you omit them. So omitting means you take it away. I think I have an example later. In some cases of science, we have to make an average value, right? Because if you do experiment only once, that may be by chance. We're not sure if we reproduce that and it will occur again. So they make a series of like 5 experiments and they make the average. But the number looks like, it's too low. I don't like that. So they omit some of the minimal values to make the average result a little bit higher. So that again is also falsification. So it's actually your data, but you are not accurately representing it. There's something going on. And the third one is called plagiarism. So plagiarism, you can think of that as stealing. So in real life, if I steal your money, police will arrest me, right? It's a crime. It's not right. But plagiarism means you are stealing somebody else's idea or results. So should these people go to jail? Should the police come in like, oh, you're bad, you steal someone's idea? Actually, according to law, because each country have different laws, in Thailand right now, it's not quite clear. We're in the gray zone. It's a crime, but will you get arrested? Maybe not, but there will be some punishment, some type at the moment. So if you take it and you don't tell where you got it, like you're not giving the credit to the owner of that idea, that is like totally stealing. But in terms of science, if you make a paper, I think some of you are master students, PhD students, or even some lecturers, I think. So when we make like a scientific paper, there's like an introduction, right? Okay, before we came to this, the pain point, the history, you are taking other people's idea to put into your introduction. The most appropriate way is to give them the credit. You add citation, okay? It can be like, Dr.Chakree, 2023, he found that cold weather makes your voice very bad, like that. So that is one type of doing citation. And according to the ORI, they say that research misconduct does not include honest error or different opinion. So errors can happen, right? It can happen from machine, like different temperature, the machine might run differently. Like today is very cold, my computer is like super smooth, very fast, and different opinion. Sometimes scientists in the field, they might feel like they want to oppose your idea. You can say that, okay, COVID-19 is gone. We don't have it anymore. Some scientists say, no, it's still around. We still need to look out for each other. So those are different opinions. That is a healthy debate. That is not science misconduct. So don't mix that up. So anything that falls into these 3 categories, those will be research or scientific misconduct. Okay, so let's look into some examples. So first of all, I have to apologize to some of the audience because my specialty, my expert is more like biomedical, and I just saw like some participants who like are not in the biomedical field. So please bear with me. I think the main content is quite the same, the core concept. But let's look at the methods that we see. So this is a paper. You can look down in the link, and it was already submitted and published somewhere. And they found that in this paper, the researchers, they want to study proteins. So, for example, if we are sick, we have low levels of some hormones. If we take a certain medicine, we can boost our body, increase that amount of hormones. In terms, it is producing more protein. So this research, they were trying to find that medication, like which one would be the best improvement for the hormone, something like that. So once they treat their samples with the medicine, they will measure the amount of protein. So when the editors, they look into these pictures. So this lane right here is a protein, and these numbers are the size. So basically, it's like they put protein on, it's called a gel, and then they add some electricity, there's some solvent going on. The protein will start to travel according to their size. So the smaller ones will travel the fastest, they go far, and bigger ones, sometimes they travel slow, something like that. So they try to show that, hey, the protein 58, we are producing lots of that, and it does not touch on protein 80. That's what they want to conclude. But when the editors did some exposure, gamma correction, these are photography terms. I'm not quite familiar with that. So they changed the brightness and lighting or something. They found that this actual type of photo, it's called a pixel smearing. So actually this band, this dark band here, should be as dark as this one. But the researchers somehow they don't want this to be that dark, because if it's dark, it means there's lots of protein 80, but they don't want that in their results. So there was some cleaning up going on, some manipulation. The original photo went through a series of modification, or even sometimes they add some lines onto that. So in this case, they found that those smearings was actually a fabrication to make it look like it's a little bit longer and not too dark, something like that. So this is one of the evidence that we have right now. Image manipulation, we see this a lot in the field of biomedical science. Okay, so let's look at another one. So again, this is also a protein expression. So these are like some experiments, and then there's a special type of reagent. It's called fluorescent. And when you put it in and you put UV light, they will just glow, like glow in the dark, like that. So in the areas where it is very bright and green, there's lots of protein going on. So in these two pictures, what they say is these two conditions produce the same results. So it's like most of it is green and there's a single spot that is very bright. But again, when the editors and the people who check the integrity of the image, they do some adjustment, they change the brightness. So they try to make the middle, the middle part as the same brightness, but they found that the other parts are not the same. So the original photo somehow were very, very different. But by changing those lighting and stuff, it sort of like made them look the same in the results, something like that. So this is another example that they found. So these problems, actually they start coming up in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. I was reading some of the articles. And this is another one. Oh, sorry. I think my title, it should be up here, but it fell down. I think I can fix that because I'm sharing everything right now. Ta-da. Okay. So this is like image manipulation in real time at the moment. Okay, so people who work with cell. So these are all cell lines, like skin cells, blood cells, maybe. No, this is fibroblast cells or something. So in all of these pictures, this paper looked into all of them, and they had a software to sort of like go down to all the pixels and analyze like what's going on. So if you look, there is a red frame and a green frame. So the one in green are real. The one in red, oh, sorry, my caption is gone. Okay, it's back here. So the one in red is fake and the one in green is real. So for the column A up here, what they found is that all of these photos are not real. They just came out from an AI that scientists have tried to train. So scientists gave AI like lots of photo, like fibroblast 1 until fibroblast like 300 or something. And the AI like, okay, I'm getting to know how it should look like. So all of these were generated. You can generate the cells like actually under normal lighting. You can generate them and say like, okay, do some staining, some fluorescent, green, purple, whatever color you want. So everything in A is fake, so it is meaningless in science. The second one is column B. So column B is like the falsification. They start off with a real photo. These two are the real one. And then they had the AI sort of like make newer version, like generate other versions that are similar because they want to say like, okay, I did 5 experiments. They roughly look the same, but actually they did only 1. So again, this is falsification or fabrication. It's quite a gray zone. And the final one is a manipulation. So these are the original images. So in the case that a medicine, we want the medicine to sort of like kill the cell. Let's say this one here is like cancer cell. So if we want to kill it, the number of cell has to go down. You tell the AI, remove some cell, make it look real, bam, you get this one. Or if this is like normal cells and you want to like make them grow, improve their health, use the AI, add more cell, make them look healthy, bam, you get this. So again, all of these are a very big problem in biomedical field at the moment. It's in every level, in cell level, in tissue level, and even in some studies that do in patients, we also see this. Okay, so some people might say like, okay, this problem started in 2015. We're in 2024. It should be over now. People are like, we're good people. We know what we should do, right? Maybe not. So this is a paper in Nature Communication, a very nice paper, high ranking. So they would do something about tumor and stem cells. They were looking into like genes, into images, into protein. The thing is, these are the pictures that they found inside, and there was some people who looked up this picture. The funny part is that it was a PhD student somewhere, and he or she was also working similar to them. What they did is they took these pictures and they put it into Google Lens. I haven't tried Google Lens before, but from my understanding, you can take a picture and you put it into the search engine and you click search. And then it shows like, okay, where this picture has been posted before. So some of these pictures came out in the search engine, meaning some pictures here, either one of these researchers took it somewhere and put it here. It's more like a normal cell because they're like, they all look the same, any part of the world, so they just took it. Down here, the early of this year, 2024, editors has said that they have been alerted about the reliability of this data. And right now, there is editorial action going on. So this paper, as of we speaking right now, is under investigation. So it's a very big deal. So if the investigation comes out guilty, this paper is likely to be retracted. And that's a very negative effect on the career of a scientist. So I don't know why they did this, or maybe it's a coincidence, I'm not sure, but we'll see soon after the editors of Nature Communication comes up with their finding. Okay, I think I have some text over here. Is it gone again? Because in the last minute I was adding. Okay, never mind. It's somewhere. Because I think in the last minute I was adding the logo of the university and on top of my slides, and somehow it messed up with the format. Okay, moving on. So this is falsification. So this is all made up by me, not real numbers. So let's say you have a study. You have two drugs. There's drug A and there's drug B. And this drug, they aim to help increase HDL. So HDL is a type of lipids inside the blood. We call it the good lipids. So the higher the number, it correlates with better health, something like that. So the original one is drug A. It can increase HDL to 25%, which is quite high. So researchers say, okay, I'm gonna do drug B and I'm gonna test it out. Here are his results. He did 3 experiments. So he will be reporting it as a triplicate in his paper. The average number is 25.8. It's quite comparable to drug A. So can this result be published? Actually, yes, your drug is working. It's as good as the best drug we have on the market. But some scientists like, I want to break through. I need fame. People need to know I'm like the new guy who made something better, new, different, better, like our university model. So what he did is he omitted, meaning he took out one of the entry. So he took out the lowest one. So now he is left with a duplicate. So if you take the average of these two values, you get 27.9. So 27.9%, let's say like 28, compared to 25, he took like the statistic analysis, SPSS, whatever. I'm very bad at statistic, to be honest. It came out as superior. Oh, now drug B is even better than the original drug. So if he published this, he might get in a very high-ranking paper, better than the actual results. So in this case, we call it cherry picking. Is this okay? Is this bad? He didn't lie. He used the real data. He can say like, meh, maybe funding was gone, so he didn't do triplicate as promised. He did duplicate, or maybe there was an earthquake last night, so he didn't do it. We don't know, but it's very hard to prove sometimes. So it's a term called cherry picking. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I messed it up quite a lot. So, okay, never mind. We just go through with this. After the break, I will give you the correct one later. Okay, so cherry picking is a term mainly found in statistics. So it is a bias. Sometimes this is all your research. Okay. But when you want to present them, they say, okay, it's all real. It should be the same, but I'm just gonna take like this one and that one and maybe throw this away to make my data look nicer, something like that. So is it good? Is it correct? Actually, it's sort of like a little bit of deceiving, like you're not telling the entire truth. So it can be misleading the outcomes a lot in many, many cases. And for a good research integrity, cherry picking should not be done at all. If your results don't look good in your average, one of the best way is to maybe duplicate, do it even more. So you can be entirely sure that, okay, this is what the actual outcome should be, like that. Okay. So there are some real world cases out there. Is anybody familiar with this woman? She was very famous. How long ago? I forgot. So where is her name? She's not Gilbert. I forgot her name. Oh, it's over here. Elizabeth Holmes. So she was the CEO of a company called Theranos. And this was a very famous and promising company. It's a health startup. So in her hand right here, it looks like a capsule, right? But actually it's a device. So this device, she claimed that her company invented it. And if you put it on your finger and you just like press a little bit, it will draw your blood in very tiny amount. And that is enough for her to do analysis on so many things, like your blood work, some DNA profiling. So it was very groundbreaking at the time. And people called her the unicorn because if this is a new way of us testing our blood, we can sort of like reduce lots of risks from needles and everything. So she got a lot of funding. I think even Elon Musk gave her like 10 or 20 million US dollars. And she was even on the Forbes magazine, Forbes 400 something. But eventually we didn't see anything coming out. So what was going on? It's a type of falsification. They claim that their small equipment called the nanotainer, like this, you just take it to your finger and you just like press, and it just takes your blood. And very, very small. And then you put that thing into their machine, they call it Edison. I don't know why they call it Edison. And then the machine can run lots of tests. They can see your blood sugar, lipids, protein, see some tumor DNA or cancer DNA, and also come up with the risks of your health and everything. So it was supposed to be like groundbreaking, and the cost will go down, the harm will go down. Like everybody loves that. But the thing is, in 2015, there were some claims going on. Some people said that, okay, they were hiring Theranos to sort of like do some health checkup for their workers at the organization. But somehow there was some malfunction going on. Too much blood was drawn, some injury was occur. So FDA had to do some investigation. They found that the medical device was unclear. So the mechanism of how it works, they try to say like it's company secret, but normally you have to declare anything about medical device to the FDA, at least how it works. But the technology to produce it, it's your secret to do. They failed to do that. And when auditors had to go in, they did not cooperate. So, and they also did not audit themselves. And eventually they made a decision that the design of those devices were not validated. So if you take the device and you use it like 10 times, it doesn't do the same thing all the time. Sometimes it malfunctions, sometimes it takes up too much blood. So there were some complaints going on. So there was another institute, it's called the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Service, CMS. They look into like claims of people. So there was a company in California that uses Theranos, and they found that lots of their patients got like weird results. The thing is, if you're healthy, and let's say I'm healthy, I go to hospital, they take my blood, and I'm like, okay, I just want to check up my blood lipid levels because I like too much buffet like that. But when the results came in, they say, okay, your lipids level are normal, but you have high risk of cancer. I will go crazy. Like, oh my God, I cannot continue my life. You'll be depressed, you'll be everything. So that is also a negative effect on your mental health and stuff. So lots of these results were mixed up, and the patient health and safety were in jeopardy. So they made them not happy, they made them depressed, and sometimes they did not sort of like reimbursed or help them. So the CMC said, okay, you have 10 days to correct these deficiency. You have to help your patients do the right thing and pay them back whatever you did wrong. But eventually they did not do that. They cannot do that for some reason. Oh my God. Okay. So for Theranos, after that is done, they were prosecuted. And I think right now Elizabeth Holmes is like in prison or somehow. Okay, this one is very bad. Okay, let me take it back. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, so yeah, we should never edit our slides last minute. It's supposed to look like this. Okay, so that was for falsification. Now let's look into plagiarism. So plagiarism in science, actually, there are lots of examples. You can go look it up. But because right now, I don't know if you guys watch the US election like me, we're still like some aftershock right now. So I found there's lots of example, and I found an article by Melania Trump back in 2008. So RNC and DNC, this is the Republican National Committee. This is the Democrat National Committee. So back at the time, Michelle Obama, because she's like the first woman, she was making her speech on another county. And this was her speech. She was talking about like how they were taught, how they valued their stuff, and how they should treat people, and how they should sort of like teach the newer generations like that. Her speech was very nice. There's even a YouTube side by side in the links. And the thing is, on another event, Melania Trump also made similar speeches. So people were shocked because in her transcript, there were lots of passages that was taken from Michelle's speech. So I highlighted them in like blue, red, and blue. They just changed some of the words, like, okay, that your work, okay. So for example, this part is like a key part. So if you work hard for what you want in life, and that your word is your bond, and you do what you say. So it's like about integrity. That's the thing that Michelle always said. So they just took it and made a new version. The thing is, after investigation, I think Trump fired the the staff who made this because there was too much plagiarism in these parts. The words were exactly the same in many cases, and there was no clear credit that these were words from Michelle Obama. So it's quite the same in science. If you do exact words like this with no citation, that is very bad. But I think you all have learned, if you're going to take something from another paper, you should do some paraphrasing. You don't need to do, you should not do exact word by word because they can get you in trouble sometimes. Because like nowadays, plagiarism, they're like programs like Turnitin or some other programs, I forgot the name. They will check your manuscript sometime. And if the word is like exactly, even if you have a citation, it will come up in those algorithms, and that can be a problem. Because editors, they have a submission of papers, like, I don't know, 100 per month. They might not be able to go into each case, like when it comes up red alert, and they might not go look like, did you put in a citation? Oh, no. The algorithm says you're bad, so you're bad. Go back, revise, or even worse, reject like that. So please do some paraphrasing. You can maintain the core content, but you can write it in your own words. Okay. I actually want to show you the YouTube video, but it's not science related. It's my own personal thing. Okay, so there's another one. You might have heard about self-plagiarism. So what does that mean? So you are copying yourself, right? That sounds weird. So because I said before, plagiarism is stealing, right? Can you steal from yourself? Can I? I take my money and I put it in another pocket. It's still my money, right? In common sense, it looks like that. But if you go into other aspects, let's say in insurance, or in like academic insurance, there's a way you can steal money from yourself somehow. It's like you see in the movies, like, okay, you have life insurance. If you die, you get like 5 million. You fake your death, you do something, you get 5 million. It's sort of like stealing the company, but it's stealing your money from the company. So that's okay. No, that's possible. That's not okay. That's just possible. So in terms of research, many authors will have to build up on their previous finding. But when do we say it's self-plagiarism? Whenever you put in your work and you try to show it as something new, and you do not let your readers know that, okay, has been done before. This is something I have done before in the past. So you're trying to deceive them. You're not telling the truth. Because why do people do this? In many, I have an example later too. In many parts of science, we want to be like the first to discover, first book to write about this and that, first results. We always want to be the first because there's very high value, also social value, I think. I'm not sure how to say it. It feels good somehow, you're being the first. So lots of people think that, okay, maybe people will not go look back on me. I can slip away with this, just write something and make it look totally new. And whenever you mislead them like this, that is like self-plagiarism. So if you find a paper and the author claims like, okay, this is new, novelty, something has never been done before in this area, it's totally new. And you go look back and you find like, hey, it's not new. You did it ago last year or something. That is self-plagiarism. So is it a problem? Yes. Whenever you do self-plagiarism, sometimes we call it redundant. So again, in the field of biomedical, let's say like I'm a pharmacist, I can do some case studies. Like I'm in the hospital, there's some patient coming in. If the patient takes some, let's say, anti-allergic medicine, and their allergies go down, but sometimes they feel happy. There's some cognitive effect like that, for example. So I can find those cases and I can publish them. In some cases, I'm not sure about you guys. Some researchers, they say like, we should submit to like maybe 2 or 3 journals at the same time. Because if these 2 reject, we still have a shot at this one because all the process takes time. So we just submit everywhere. In many cases, you get multiple exceptions. So journal 1 says, I accept you. Journal 2 said, I also accept you. And you're like, okay, what's going on? But you don't want to take it back. So you just leave it there. It becomes a duplicate or a redundant. So that's a problem. So that was a very common practice back in the early 2000s. I think I'm gonna read his name wrong. Shane, I think. So in 2001, he found that out of 660 studies, 92 had lots and lots of redundant publications. So these were in surgical journals. So it's like surgeons who did some new techniques, found something nice, and they published that. So that's a big problem. And also a little bit back, Jefferson in 1998, he found that the rate of duplication in biomedical journals that time was up to 20%. So that's so bad. So there was some issues going on, and the body of biomedical editors and scientists, they came together. They found that, okay, redundancy and these duplication, they are like the second highest cause for articles to be retracted during the end of 2010. So there was lots of new guidelines going on. Sometimes when you submit your publication, your manuscript, there's an option that you have to follow that you must only submit here. You cannot submit elsewhere, something like that. We might feel like, okay, your process is so long and you're not letting me submit elsewhere. I'm wasting so much of my time. But actually, it came from these problems. They don't want any more duplications in the field of the journals and stuff. Okay. So again, definitions. I just took this definition from the ORI. Self-plagiarism. So basically, it's the use of some or all the elements of your previous publication. It can be words, it can be text, it can be numbers, it can be an image. And right now, image is like image with upgrade with the generative AI, something like that. And you use it in a new publication with ambiguous acknowledgement, or maybe no acknowledgement at all. So whenever these criteria are fulfilled, there's a clear indication that there's some deception going on. That is self-plagiarism. And some journals are not happy about them. They will action something. But nevertheless, self-plagiarism sometimes can happen by mistake. But in good terms, we consider that it's sort of like laying in on the continuum, because knowledge is like built up from the past generation, right? We use the knowledge, we build up more and more and more to make advance in science. And what is the best way? So the very best way to avoid self-plagiarism, you treat yourself like you're treating other information from other sources. Like if you want to reference a quote or some data from other people, how do you do it? You do paraphrasing. You make it your own words, not the exact words, or you just take the part that you need, not the entire part, and always put in proper citation. It might feel funny, you have your name on your own journal, but it's okay because you are properly doing it. You are respecting the community guidelines and stuff, so that's okay. But the thing to note right now, 42 CFR Part 93. So the CFR, I forgot the name again, but it's like an institute, a body that looks into make a guideline for many aspects like human research, ethics, everything. After considering a lot, they say that they do not consider self-plagiarism as research misconduct somehow, because they say that it's not entirely falsification at the moment like that. But is there some adjustment or revision going on? They say yes, they can request for revision to make it like better. Okay. Okay, we had falsification, we had plagiarism. Now we go into fabrication. I'm not sure if anybody has watched this on Netflix, maybe. King of Clothes.
Sorry, everyone. อาจารย์ will be back soon.
Can we take a break a little bit?
Okay, we will take a break for the 10 minutes. We will be back at the 10 o'clock.
Okay. Everybody's still here, right? Okay, so sorry. I think
อาจาร
something
ย์คะ
happened to the internet at my home ครับผมเมื่อกี้
พ
ห
อ
ลุด
ดี
ใช่ไหม
ค่ะ พอดีบอกว่าให้นักศึกษาไปเบรก10 นาทีค่ะ
อ๋อโอเค ได้ครับ เดี๋ยวอาจารย์ไปหาว่าเน็ตหลุดได้ไงก่อน งงมาก อยู่ๆก็หลุด โอเคได้ งั้นเดี๋ยวกลับมาตอน10 โมงนะครับโอเค be right back
There's something's off, the way you look and how you pause when you talk. I think you said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know. If you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Let's be honest for a second. Yeah, you're being over your head, babe. 'Cause there is no one other than me that can make you feel the way you feel when I hold you. I think I said enough. You said your love for me something brand new. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah, don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know. If you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Just do it. Don't need you here to say you're sorry. 'Cause if you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Don't take it slow, don't be gentle. No, I just gotta know. If you're gonna leave me, then just do it. Yeah. Here's to the good days, here's to the sorrows. If this is a mistake, I know about tomorrow. I don't wanna fight no more, 'cause I don't feel the need no more, no. Just wanna make it stop. Maybe it's something in the water, or maybe we just hit the end of the road. Right now it doesn't even matter. It's too late not to let it go. And that's why I wish you the best and say goodbye. You start to get dressed and then we cry. 'Cause we both know it's gonna hurt, but not as much as this does. We had a good run, don't say we didn't. I was your first love, and you were my first one. Cheers to all the memories, the venom and the remedies, yeah. Promise I won't forget, yeah. Maybe it's something in the
Okay, so I think we're back now. The Wi-Fi at my house somehow decided to like go away. So I just grabbed my phone charger and now I'm running on my phone. So if my phone goes away as well, then I'm out of option. Hopefully phone should be fine. Okay, where were we? So let's dive right back in. Okay. So I think we were on the fabrication, right? So this is a very famous case in South Korea. This guy, he's a biotechnologist. So he works with like cells and cloning. So in 2004, his breakthrough paper was like this: evidence of pluripotent human embryonic stem cells from a clone blastocyst. So blastocyst is like the early stage of an embryo. He somehow claimed that he made this embryo and he somehow transformed it back to a stem cell. So the application of this study is that if we can make a stem cell of a human, we can treat almost anything because stem cell can turn into like bones, nerve, muscle, whatever cell you put it into. So you can think like if you have cancer, you just like surgical remove like everything of that part. And when everything's fine, you put a stem cell in and you can grow everything back, just like that. Or you don't need any more transplants because you can grow your organs or so. So this was a very big deal. It could change like humanity somehow. But as you can see now, 2006, this article has been retracted. Something going on, but they just leave it there. This is how science works. We leave everything online, even if we don't use it anymore or something wrong. Okay, so actually he started to do cloning in animals. That was his like first thing. But when he got older and he got more achievement, somehow we don't know when he started moving on to human cells. So in 2004, he claimed that he was the first group to develop the stem cells from a blastocyst, from a human. And then later on, in 2005, like 1 year later, he said that, okay, he used this concept and he took the blastocyst from 11 patients. So they were like cancer patient with like, it's called ALS, the disease that Stephen Hawking had, people who have weak muscle and cannot move. So if you can restore the muscle, restore the nerves, they can move again like that. So he said that he somehow was able to make stem cell for these 11 patients. So that is like, okay, proof of concept and then real world application. So a very big deal. So at the time, the NSU, Seoul National University, they were so happy, like, okay, our scientist is going to save the world right now because he can replace tissue. He can make those tissue like a match for the patient. You just get them cells, make a blastocyst and make stem cells. So lots of people came in, collaborators came in, competitors also came in. So that's one thing. If you are in the spotlight, not only people who love you come, people who want to compete with you also come in. So that is where things start to fall apart. Okay. I'm not sure, is there any disturbing sound because somehow my cats are fighting at home. If it's too loud, just tell me, I'll just throw them out of the room. Okay. So when the competitors came in, the problem is, okay, they read the paper and they got some blastocysts and then they want to make stem cells. But the thing is, they are having lots of difficulties reproducing those results. And when many labs try to do this, like in the US, in the UK, questions start to come. And when questions start to pile up, there were even some allegations. People started saying, his work is not real. The results are not real. Can you look into that? So there was sort of like some pressure from the university, like, okay, our hero, people are saying you did not do your work. Please respond, make some statement, say something. So after lots of pressure came in, like you can see here, thousands of reporters came in. He eventually admitted that number one, the blastocysts that he got were not actually how he got them. So in the paper, he said he only took it from one patient and he just done it. But actually, before he could get any results, he took the oocytes, these are egg cells, he took it from his own research team multiple times to get a fruitful research. So it was not only one time, it was like 10 times. And even he bought some of those eggs, human egg cells from clinics, which were very unethical. And then after more pressure, he said that some of his images were duplicated. But he said that they were all actually real, but because these ones look better, so I just duplicate them more. So when these came in, lots of people were questioning, like, okay, what's going on? Is this like even real? And they just came in, more investigation, more questions. So eventually, nobody was able to produce that. I think at the tipping point, the university or some authority said that, okay, to clear everything up, Dr. Wang, you go in to your lab and you do it. Do it how you said in the paper 2004. And you sort of like record or do some live stream so people can see like, okay, how did you do that? Is there some special technique you have to like do this part quickly or do this part multiple times, something? There might be some critical points and that can clear everything up. But eventually, nothing happened. So he could not produce the results that he published in 2004, 2005. So a big deal. An investigative team was assigned by the university. They came in, they looked through the lab, through the notebooks, computer, paper. They looked through everything. They interviewed every single people who work in the lab, even the one who already graduated. And eventually they came up with the results that 2005 and 2004, those papers were fraudulent. So they were not real. Actually, he's a very talented scientist. He had very good success in cloning animals. So this was a dog named Snubby. I think this was like one of the first animal cloning in the world somehow. So although he's like a national hero, but eventually the president of SNU had to come out and say, this is wrong. And his words were, this is a blemish on the whole scientific community because the results of this paper was promising a lot. It was promising to save lives all over the world, but eventually it did not come. So after that, his paper was retracted from that. And other scientists try to like, okay, maybe something wrong, or maybe it has to be a special method. People in Japan also try to do it, and they found that they can do it in a similar way, but with a different method. They put some genes into the human cells, and they were able to make them back into stem cells, almost the same as he tried to promise. But although those effort has been done, to this day, there's still no success of making these stem cells from a human blastocyst that he has claimed in 2004. So it's like 20 years ago, right? This is like 2024. So eventually, Huang, he was stripped of his academic positions and stuff. He was a professor, now he's not. And if you watch the Netflix series that I showed earlier, I think right now he's in Dubai. So he relocated to another country, and those countries sort of like want him to help clone animals, like they have camel racing or something. So they want to make better camels that can run faster somehow, and he's working there. So he cannot go back to South Korea, maybe because of public pressure somehow, but he's still working, but in another country. Okay, so those are like the consequence of scientific misconduct. Okay, so now we move on to the authorships. So we know what we should not do in science, but when you want to publish something, we need to put in the names, right? Who is the one who did the experiment, this and that. So who can you put in? Is there a ghost author, like author that did nothing but had a name, or is it a gift author? You just give the name due to some exchange. We don't know. Okay. So this topic is a very big deal because back in the days, if you work in a lab, like for example, you are a researcher, you have a boss, and there's a director who looks over all the labs. Sometimes when you publish your paper, okay, you can put your name because you did it. You can put your boss name because your boss helped you. But sometimes you have to put in the director's name, who did nothing but just oversee the whole facility. Is that okay? I don't know. But some people say like, he's just sitting around and he gets the name. Really? Is that what we should do it? So this issue were increasing a lot, piling up. So this committee, ICMJE, International Committee of Medical Journal Editors, they came together, lots of editors came in, and they say, okay, we should make a guideline. We should make some criteria for how to do it. Because the reason is number one, authorship. Authorship is basically two things. Number one is credit. So we know who is the owner of this work. If we want to use it, we want to profit from it, we want to use or apply to something, we need to give the credit to the inventor, the people who discovered it. That's like normal practice. The second one is responsibility and accountability. This is something that is very lacking in many areas. In many times, if your finding is conflicting, it's like different from older people, from older research and stuff. Sometimes there is a debate going on. There might be some issues we need to do. So all the authors who made that paper, who did those claims, they have to be accountable. They have to be able to answer like, okay, our results are really in the opposite because we did this, we got that, we did this, we got that, and we stand by it. In many cases where there's an opposition, some authors just like, no, I didn't know, I didn't do the experiments, I'm in an administrative position, something like that. So that cannot happen. If you're an author, you need to know everything. You have to take accountability. Okay, so let's see who can be an author in a paper. So these are the 4 criteria. And please note, I copied it, I plagiarized it. And there's a word "and" at the end. So you need all these 4 criteria. Number 1, authors have to have substantial contribution. They have to be in the design, or they have to be in the experiment, or during analysis, or even during the interpretation, like doing discussion or something. So they need to have quite a good amount of contribution in there. Number 2, during the draft of the manuscript or during the review, they have to be critically involved in that stage, because everything coming out of a paper is sort of like intellectual property. So they need to know what's going on. Number 3, they also need to give approval for the final version of the publication. There are issues sometimes that students like, I want to graduate right now, I need to go somewhere. They publish the paper without the knowledge of the advisor somehow. Can that be done? Actually, yes, because editors can sort of like process everything. But there might be some steps or some things that the whole research team needs to agree on. So there has to be a final approval. And the final one is they have to be agreeable to be accountable. So agreement to be accountable for everything. They have to sign that this work is correct, this work is real, integrity is a very big problem. So all of these have to be met for an author to be an author. Okay, so here's an example. I took it from this paper. In some papers nowadays, you might see they will require author contribution. So JFS, IMAL, these letters are the abbreviation for the first, middle, and last name of the authors and co-author. So you have to write down who does what, like JFS, involved in a study. If I'm correct, this is like the advisor somehow, and these are like the students. So they have to note down everything, who does what, and all authors revise, all author gave final approval. So this is just to follow the ICMJE guideline. What about non-authors? So if someone who's in the research team, they meet fewer than the 4 criteria. Let's say they meet only 1. They help with experiment, but they did nothing else. No revision, no approval, no accountability. They should not be an author according to the guideline, but you need to put them in the acknowledgement. Sometimes you can say, I acknowledge Mr. He's a technician for this lab. He did a wonderful job with my cells and isolation. I am grateful to him, like that. So his name will be in the acknowledgement. Or in case of a research group, before you publish, you might ask, if you're a master student and you have a PhD student who's your senior, you can ask them like, can you check my manuscript? And they like have some experience, like, okay, they check it out, they point like, okay, this part is a bit lacking, maybe add this and that, and they help you revise your manuscript. So that's only criteria 3, I think. You cannot make them an author, but you need to acknowledge them. I thank you, this guy, a lot because he helped me with the editing of the manuscript, and it's wonderful, like that. Okay, so like these, they say these examples are not qualified as author. People who get funding, sometimes you feel like no money, no research. So the people who got the funding, I'm gonna put your name in. But to think of the criteria, they did nothing. They just like, hey, give your money, done. Supervisors, if they are just sitting around signing papers, approving purchase and stuff, that's not contribution. Writing assistant, language editing, proofread, these are only step 3. So these are not authors, but you should acknowledge them. That's okay. We see lots of acknowledgements of the funding agency, right? Like, okay, I thank you, the National Science Committee grant number 111, something like that. So those are in the acknowledgement. Okay, so this is another paper, how they acknowledge the non-contributors. So this is a paper done in China, and they made like a clinical trial in like many hospitals. So if you put the name of everyone, like from all 20 hospitals in the author, that'll be a long list, and everybody might not even understand at the same level because they're only at their site. They didn't sign or do the analysis at the end. So they just say, we thank like Nian, I'm gonna say it wrong again, Song from this hospital, Sue Ping Yan, Ming Yang, like that. So just list all the name, list their affiliation, and thank you them in the acknowledgement. That's okay. And something new. So we have AI a lot right now, artificial intelligence assistant technology. So do we use AI? I use it. Mostly I like to generate pictures, but I don't use it in science at the moment. So I still stick to my own editing and I wait for the revision from the editors somehow. So some people have to write a lot, maybe in other fields, in social science, I'm not quite sure. And sometimes grammar checking is a good thing and you can use them. So according to the guideline, if you use these AI, it's a type of tool. You can think of them like using SPSS or some scientific tool. It's okay, it's fine. But number one, you need to describe how you use it. If you use it for writing assistant, let's say you use it for grammar checking, word counting, something like that, you have to put it into the acknowledgement. I thank you for this program, I use it for this and that. If you use the AIs for collection and analysis, for example, like the biomedical field, they can analyze pictures. Like the example earlier, when they have a picture of cell and they want to see the amount of protein, you cannot measure it by your eyes. So you need some of these AIs to go in, scan, compare, and come up with the results. Those are methodology. So you put those AIs in the method section. One thing to keep in mind, chatbots like ChatGPT, they should not be listed as author because they cannot be accountable, right? These chatbots, they only respond to our prompt. So we are the one to be accountable for the production that the AI has made up. So, well, it's not even a person, right? So they should not be authors at all. But if you use it for writing, acknowledge them. If you use it for data collection or analysis, put it in the method section. So this is one of the acknowledgement, this paper. They say author acknowledged the use of ChatGPT to edit this and that. And the author, she takes full responsibility of the content and everything. Also graphic of the photo, because sometimes if you draw the photo by yourself, it's not pretty. You can sort of like generate it from somewhere. So she just listed, I use it from Leaf Art Photographer on unsplash.com, like that. That's okay. So it's good. You're declaring everything, not hiding stuff. Okay. So journals. Okay. The graduation office wants me to talk about journals. First one, bad journals. So we call them predatory journals because they're not quite honest. There's a small history. I think you have heard of the Bell's list. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Bell's list. So it started from a guy called Jeffrey Bell. I'm going to call him Bell. So he was a librarian at Colorado Denver, and he started seeing lots of papers and journals, and he found that they were deceiving authors to pay the fees, but there was no proper peer review. So if you know, in the world of academic, in order for a journal to get accepted, they have to pass a peer review. It's the same concept as if you come to like the ethics committee. If you submit your project to us, there's also a peer review process. There are like 3 reviewers. Or if you want to graduate from master or PhD, it's also a peer review. There's a graduation committee, right? Your advisor and some other people in the field to come in and see and sort of like assess on your work and see whether it's fulfilling, is it correct, like that. So Jeffrey Bell observed lots of papers don't have peer review because sometimes the timeline is so fast, it's impossible. So he made a list of all his suspicion. And after that, it was very popular. Lots of the paper listed there were actually predators. They had no proper functions, but they were very appealing. People just send their papers in and they publish very fast. And they sort of like gain momentum for a short period of time, and people felt like, hey, there's lots of papers in here and some people cite them, so maybe it's okay. But eventually they're predators. But some papers, they were quite fast in their review, but they were not predators and they were not happy to be on this list. And somehow Jeffrey Bell said that this list is like my personal opinion. It's freedom of speech or something. But lots of universities were sort of like referencing this. So it was a big problem. Eventually, he was pressured by his university to close it. So he closed it. But university said, no, I did nothing. Bill just want to close it. He got bored somehow. And now it's shut down in 2017. But if you go online, you can still find another website which sort of like copied the list for us to see somehow. So it's right there. Okay, so yeah, predatory journal after Bill list was shut down, did it stop? No, it continued. I think it's similar to like the scammers we have in Thailand right now, the call center scammers. They are very good, actually. They develop their method into excellency. They can do edtech, actually. They're very good. So in terms of definition, predatory journals are publications that claim to be legitimate, like I'm legally fine, I'm good, but they misrepresent the publishing practice, especially on peer review. Why do they do this? Just profit, just money. Because there are lots of journals you have to pay the, it's called the APC. I forgot the full name, the fee or something, the charge to get it published. But they deceive these people. They say like, okay, you pay us, we're gonna have peer review very fast, we're gonna do some checking for you and everything. And they publish like so fast. So you might wonder like, so why do people fall for this? Like, it's a scam. The thing is, pressure, career pressure. I think all over the world, scientists or people in academic position, even like me, our career progression depends on publishing. Because if we are a researcher, we hold a PhD, but we cannot do research, then why would the university hire us, right? So sometimes accidents happen. They don't have enough time to do research. They just go the easy way. They just go to this journal, pay them, and then bam, you get published so fast. So here are the common characters of these predatory journals. They might not be all the same, but you can look it up. Number one, they claim to have peer review, but actually there's no peer review at all. Number two, they claim to have an impact factor. I think you can find that. But when you go look into other citation metrics on some proper website, you cannot find them. Or maybe the name is wrong or unverifiable. They have super fast timeline. Normally a paper to get published, I'm not an expert because I didn't publish much, only like once a year maybe. So from my experience, it takes around like 60 to 100 days because there's lots of revision going on. Sometimes these journals like you can get published in 2 weeks, which is like so fast. Publish the journal directly after the authors pay the APC. I think it's the article processing charge, maybe. So it sort of goes with this one. You pay and then publish like so fast. And those publications, when they come out, they tend to have lots of grammar mistakes because it's so fast, there's no process. So sometimes the whole manuscript, which is unchecked, just goes online like that. One thing that you can check, you can look into the editorial board. the editors of those journals. So sometimes they are no one. They don't exist. It's a fancy person, some nice looking scientist with a nice fancy name at that university. But when you go onto that university, he or she doesn't even exist, or they just take some people's name. Most of the editors will put their editorial job inside their CV. So if you look at their CV and there's nothing, then maybe their name has been used. The name of the journal can be a mimic, similar to some fancy journal name, and they tend to target through email, just like a scammer. I think everybody, even you're using, for the case of MFU, even we are using the MFU mail, you might get some invitation like invitation to publish in this and that. We are a highly prestigious journal and your work is of interest like that. So I have that a lot, and when I go check them, like, okay, they're nobody. And those emails tend to be like very bad grammar. Okay, lack of transparency. All journals need to list down their process. There's like author's guideline. Author have to do 1, 2, 3. And if you have question, you can ask this and this. So these websites have like very little information, very hard to find everything. And one of the most bad thing is that they will require the author to sign away the copyrights at the submission. So normally the copyright will be signed after your manuscript is accepted. And sort of like, okay, this copyright belongs to the publisher. Okay, share this and that. That's fine. But during submission, it's still raw. It's like not finalized. So this is some red flags you can look into. And sometimes they just publish before you agree to publish, or sometimes the website just being taken down, like gone, just like a scammer. Okay, so any journal that looks like a scammer, you can put on a red flag and be sure, due diligence. Is this legal, legit or not? Okay, so let's say you have passed the predatory journal. You now go into normal journal territory. How would you assess the quality or assess which journal you choose? So I'm not quite an expert of journal assessment as well, but I just show what I use and also some other ones. So these are the popular tools or database you can go look into. If you find a journal, I advise you to take the name of that journal and go to one of these and search to see whether it's listed on these official database or not. The one that I use the most is this one, SciMago, it's SJR. And there's also like Think, Check, Submit, the Open Access Journal, the COPE, the NLM, and also the Predatory Journal websites. These two down here, I never use them because you have to pay and I don't have that much money. So I use the one up here. They're free and they're good. So be sure, please check your journal if they are listed in here or not. Some of the predatory ones, they have very, very similar names. Like I'm in the field of pharmacy. There's a journal like Journal of Research in Pharmacy. And there's like Journal of Research in Advanced Pharmacy, like that. So just add just one word to make us get confused. So you can check them up if they are legitimate or not. Okay, so I just want to show you some examples. So I put the word pharmacy into the SJR and they came up like this. So these are the journals that are of high quality. They pass the SJR standards. They are listed here. There's like 80 something journal with this name. And if you go into DOHA, the open access, there's like 186, lots of them, like here, Journal of Advanced Pharmaceutical Science. Okay, this one is real. And the OHA is quite nice. They give you like the APC, how much you have to pay if you want to publish here. They used to give you the time as well. I forgot where to go. You can find it somewhere. So if you have money, you want to publish here, you can pay them. They also have some that are free as well. This one is for the COPE. This database is a little bit more difficult to get in because it's like the Committee of Publication Ethics somehow. So the quality of these journals are quite high and you have to do quite a lot of steps to get in there. So there's only 25 results down here. Okay. So yeah, that's how I look into the quality of the journals. Make sure they are on the proper database and you can rest assured that you're not going to be scammed. So now how would you choose your journal? It's quite hard, right? Because if I search pharmacy, like in the site SJR, there's like 80 journals. And which one should I choose? So whenever you start to look into the journals will look into three things. This is like a proper rule of thumb. Number one, novelty. So how new is your finding? Because science is about advancing, right? So if your results are like new, different, advanced, high quality papers will want that. But some journals which are like not at that level, they might be okay with, okay, just a little bit of novelty, that's fine. Number two is relevance. So the application, how big or how broad it can go to. If it's like geographical, can it apply to like regional, like Asia, America, like that, or internationally? So that also depends. Or if the discipline, like mine is pharmacist, sometimes the medication that I use can be related to like cosmetics. So that might be like multidisciplinary like that. So we can look at all these aspects. And the final one is appealing. So this is quite subjective. It's like the topic of your research. Sometimes if it's a hot topic, like I think my cats are like walking around on my get down, cat, please. So like back then is COVID-19, right? So anything that can make COVID-19 resolve or prevent that, that was like a hot topic. And if you can provide those results, you can get published like really fast, like really appealing. Or if the application is very good, it's like a real world application, you can use it afterwards, then it's highly appealing. Okay. They also have some guidelines to make you like understand your work a bit more, to see like which scope of papers you should go to. Number one, is your paper clinic or is your paper basic research? Because I'm from the biomedical field, if I use a drug in an animal, it's still basic. But if I use the drug in a people or in a patient, that's clinical. So that's higher in significance. Are the findings broad or are the findings specialist? If it's a specific field, you need to find those specific papers to go into. But if it's broad, it can be the paper of like chemistry, broad term, you can go in there. Is the finding preliminary or is it definitive? Sometimes due to budget, due to facility, we might not be able to make sophisticated experiments. So it might be just like basic scanning, finding the initial trends and stuff, and that's all. So that can be preliminary, and you can find the paper that correlates with that. Or if you get more data, can you go to a journal with a higher impact factor? This is also, if you have time, if you have money, that's okay. So if you can find and scope and see the state the condition of your work, you can then go choose the proper paper that resembles or reflects the quality, the value of your work better. So the main advice when we want to publish something, for me, you should choose the journal before you do your writing. So you have your manuscript, you know your keywords and everything. You find the journal that you want. Because each journal they have like different requirements, like word limits, structure. They may go like or introduction. Nevertheless, the core components, like the method, the results, or discussion, they're quite the same. You can draft it out first, but when you get the journal and you get the word limits, you can then sort of like synthesize it out or just try to make it appropriate. So the thing is, normally we use the keywords of our work. So if I'm doing like pharmacy, just put pharmacy into the database and maybe look into like 5 manuscripts from the past 5 years, because that's like a trend going on. And we can see like what we should do and what we should not do. Because if you go way too back, that may be too outdated and it's not a good representation of those journals. And then you look at the readership. Okay, who is the audience of those journals? Does it correlate with my work? If it's okay, then we go there. So the tools that we can use for finding journals. So this is a very famous one. People call it Jane. It's actually journal author name estimator from the biosemantic website. So again, I put the word pharmacy into this not database, this search engine. Actually, you can put in like multiple keywords, because sometimes like pharmacist and then okay, lots of drugs, right? I can say pharmacy, antibiotic, and then patient or this disease. You can scope it down. And then it shows these papers, and also they also give sort of like a confidence level. And this is the article influence, how high ranking it is. Science, this is like very high influence. They also say like it's an open access, is it index in the NLM, the midline, like that. So you can use this as a guideline to find your journals. There's another one from the Clarivate. Okay, I think, oh, sorry. I forgot to see this. Da, da, da. It was hidden. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is a product of watching too much Netflix and forgot to edit the slide at the last minute. Okay. So this is from the Web of Science Master Journalist. Web of Science. It's the Master Journalist. MJL. So it's quite similar. You just put it in, like pharmacy, go in, and then it shows like how many papers. This is like 400. And it will have some additional information you can use for, or you can just choose the categories like that. And another one is from the Elsevier. So Elsevier is also is it a publisher or a group of publisher? I forgot. So it's quite similar. And the thing I like about Elsevier is this. Impact factor. Okay, we can see it straight away. Time to first decision. If you submit your journal, how long would it take for the editor to like reply? Like, okay, reject, or okay, it's good, we can accept it after revision, like that. So this is like 1 day, very fast. Time to acceptance. So this is like how long it takes. So this is 3 months maybe, because their peer review process is quite long. And even some journals, they will have the acceptance rate, like how high they accept the papers going in, like that, if they have the data. And you can do like subscription or anything, you can choose that. So sometimes I use multiple database together. For me, I go to Jane first because it's very informative. And then I come to Elsevier to check the time to acceptance, to calculate like, okay, can I make it on time? Or is it too long or not? Like that. Okay. Okay. So actually I was going to make a break before I go into the case study. What is the time right now? 10:46. Should I have a break? Because we already made a break at 10, or should we continue? เดี๋ยวต้องถามเจ้าหน้าที่ยังไงดีครับ เราตอนแรกจะเบรกตรงนี้ก่อน เพราะว่าเดี๋ยวมันจะเป็นซีรีส์ยาวประมาณ10เอพิโซด หรือเราไปต่อเลยไหม Or maybe ask the audience, should we continue? If I should continue, you can like nguk like this. Should we? Or maybe a small break. Normally I was gonna ask like Rennie, but Rennie's not video not online. Okay, Maya gave me a thumb up, so I'm gonna continue. Thank you, Maya.
ส่ว
Okay.
นใหญ่เป็นอบรมต่อค่ะอาจารย์
Okay, อบรมต่อนะครับ Okay. Sure, continue. Thank you. Okay. So let's go into the case study. Okay. Okay. So this case study, it's from the Office of Research Integrity. I just want to show you some scenarios of research misconduct and how should we handle it in your opinion. So it's not a right or wrong situation, but just want you to go through with us together and see it through. Okay, so I highlighted the main characters and I'll just walk you through. So number 1, episode 1. So Donnie, he's a researcher at Dr. George biotech lab called the Hot Lab. And in the lab, there's like 30 researchers, lots of them, and they do cancer research. So today, it's the group meeting. So the lab has a weekly meeting, come together, show results, and see how we progress in our lab. And Donnie showed a results of a experiment that he measured the RNA level. And this figure was also the figure in Dr. George. Oh, this has to be read, sorry. Latest manuscript that he just submitted to the top class cancer research journal. So this is not accepted yet, it's in revision. And according to the track record, this is Donnie's 4th paper since he started working for 2 years. So he's quite active. But after meeting, something happened. A younger researcher named Eric, he is upset and disturbed, and he went to Dr. George's private office. What do we have next? So Eric was angry, and he said that Donnie cannot make all that results unless he has a lab at home. And also the cell lines haven't grown enough for RNA isolation. So he was claiming that according to the time limit, Donnie could not have done this. The result is too much. Dr. George, he was quite firm. He said, have we ever had any reason to doubt Donnie's work? Like, is there any misconduct? I believe not. So Dr. George then dismissed like Eric, okay, he is more experienced than you. He's been here for like 2 years. Maybe he's more organized. So right now, you should go back to your work because your results are still lacking. So he just like brushes it off. And after that, Dr. George was thinking, maybe Donnie's success was too high and made other people uncomfortable or other people become jealous. And he was just joking to himself, maybe he should study personal management to make the team like not fight with each other so much. Okay. Okay. So this is like EP1, discussion. So we know that Eric's not happy. So Eric brought his concern to Dr. George. Do you think that's the right action to do? And if it's right, can he be like a little bit more like persuasive, more pleasant or better? Or should Eric have done anything further before he spoke with Dr. George? And then the other question is like, was Dr. George's response appropriate? Is there anything better that he can improve? Okay, so before we continue, I would like to hear some comments on this. Or maybe if you're not comfortable with the microphone, you can put it in the chat box in Zoom. So let's go with the first question. Do you think I'll just write it down and you can reply from my comment in the chat. Can we reply to that? Yes, we can. So was Eric right to go to Dr. George? And can his approach be improved? Okay, so this is like the first question. Maybe one or two comments. Do you think it's good? Like he's like angry, I'm going in and shout at your advisor. Should we do that? Because if you're angry all the time, people will get scared of you somehow. They don't want to talk with angry people, right? And for the second one, was Dr. George response appropriate? And can it be improved? Okay. Okay, we can reply, yes. So, anybody? I'm like talking alone right now. Some comments. It's not a right or wrong situation. It's like freestyle. What do you think about these situations? Normally, I like to ask my students their comments, but I don't know anybody here. Okay,
Could
looking
I-
through the list.
Okay,
Okay.
Ajahn, first of all, I have to thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Oh,
And
okay, okay.
yeah, in my opinion, Eric can do that. And but it has to be in a reasonable. He have to show the Dr. George that it is not impossible to do it like in this period of time. According to my my study, it take maybe time longer. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Ajahn I think he have to prove something that he could not do it, but how George can do it. Yeah, I think.
Okay. So yeah, we agree that okay, if you find something wrong in the lab, you should notify the leader, right? But in this case, as you said, he's just shouting like, okay, he cannot do that in this little amount of time. Maybe like you said, Paibun, right? I think I saw your name. Okay. Like you said, there should be some more persuasive manner. Maybe say like, normally sales take 30 days to grow, but this is only 15. Is that possible? Like, it's the same meaning, but not too angry, right? So yeah, that's one thing that can make your opinion more heard. Don't put in too much heated emotions in your opinion. Okay. Thank you, Maya. Maya said it depends on the urgency, but yeah, it should be more persuasive. And Dr. George, objective is important. Yes. Okay. Eric was not right. Tashmir, okay. And Dr. George was okay and replied in a way it should be. Okay. So yeah, thank you. So Dr. George at first he didn't believe, right? Because he got lots of result from Donnie and he sort of like dismissed Eric. But I don't know. Personally, for my opinion, if somebody comes up with a claim, instead of like squashing it, like just sweeping it away, sometimes you should resolve something. Like Dr. George may say, okay, thank you for your concern, I've noted it down, but we have never had any reason to doubt him, but I will look into it, something like that. Maybe that will be more appropriate, not fuel Eric's anger further. Okay, yeah, Mr. N, right? You should look into the matter. Okay, thank you. Okay. A more or less confrontational manner. Okay. Yeah, we got lots of opinion. Okay. Okay. Let's go episode 2. There's like 10 episodes. Okay. Let's see how the story goes. In episode 2, there is a new researcher coming in. So it's a very big lab, people coming in and out, in and out. John, he's new. He came in and George said, okay, you have to carry on Donnie's project because soon Donnie will leave the lab. He has lots of results. He's going to start his new career. Suddenly, John pulled Eric aside and showed him Donnie's paper. Look at these figures. The cell line images are all the same. And Eric said, yes, that's the point of the paper because those cell lines were treated with the same intervention, so they should look the same. But John pointed, no, I mean that these 5 images are identical. They are copies of the same photograph. So this is like the problem in the biomedical field. Pictures are very in detail. Sometimes it's hard to catch, but somehow John catched that they were copied. So Eric looked at him and he was like shocked. He said that he only helped with the RNA isolation and he had never seen the final image that Donnie made. So again, they found a problem. They go to the leader, to Dr. George. So after talking to John and Eric, Dr. George started to have some concern. So he called Donnie, come to my office. And he said that, did you fabricate these data because you copied the photo? Donnie was shocked and he said like, I did not make up any data. I did all the analysis and got these results. I can show you all the images. I was just trying to make the best image for the paper. Because he said that the cell lines in other experiment, they did not look pretty, so he just chose the same one to make it look best, to present it nicely on the paper. But Dr. George said that, but these images are not the actual results. They are copies of only one of them. You cannot do this. And Donnie argued, why not? They're the same thing as editing the image to make those figure. So I did not try to deceive anybody. And besides, nobody said anything, not our lab, not the journal, not even you. So I thought this is how we do it. Something like that. Okay, this is very confusing. EP2 done. Okay, so there's something about Eric. We know that Eric helped with the RNA isolation. Number 1, do you think Eric should be listed as a co-author in Donnie's paper? And number 2, what are the responsible for the co-author about the authenticity? And what is the responsible of the reviewers? And number 3, how could Dr. George change the practice in his lab so he can minimize these type of mistakes? So many questions. So number 1, I think the easiest one. Should Eric be co-author? If you remember the ICMJE criteria, can he be a co-author? He helped with one experiment in here. Okay, you can write it down in the chat or you can raise your hand, open the mic, that's fine. And I'll write this down. Responsibility of co-author and reviewer. And how would George, yeah, I'm just gonna go by George now for short. Change the practice in the lab. Okay, I think the first one is easy one. Let's use some emojis, right? Is there emoji in Zoom? How do I do this? I'm in a sharing menu, so I can't open it. Okay, there's some people, yes. Does everybody agree we should let Eric be the co-author? Okay, Maya. Touch Me also said yes. Maya, thank you. There's some ignorance going on in the peer review, right? And since the beginning, it's important to deliver, right? I think it's deliver, commitment to write together, and Dr. George could be a supervisor and should check the quality and put his name in acknowledgement. So you mean Eric should be in acknowledgement, right? Okay, thank you. Another one. And said Eric is not a co-author because he couldn't see the image, right? He did not see the final version, right? One thing that the ICMJE says that you need, all co-authors have to approve the final version, right? But Eric's like, I never seen this before. And he even didn't look at the paper when it was published. He only was happy, like, I had my name on because I helped. So the first question, actually, according to ICMJE, Eric is not a co-author because he helped in just some part of it. But if he could fulfill all 4 criteria, then he can be the co-author. So in this case, he should be in the acknowledgement. And also like the responsibility of co-author and reviewers, authenticity, the checking of these images. So there has to be something wrong, maybe in the co-author side and also in the reviewer side, right? There should be more, I'm gonna say like quality checking, quality assurance to look at the authenticity of these images. So because back then, like the problem said before, people don't have the tools to check these images. You copy them a little bit and they look nice. And maybe that falls to Dr. George, right? If he has a proper process, a better quality checking tradition in the lab, maybe this problem won't get out. Okay, let's go EP3. So, okay, I have to move my window a little bit. It's blocking. So EP3, Dr. George is now concerned. So he checked all the images that he find and he verified that, okay, those creative graphics did not change the result and the conclusion of the published paper. So they were just like the baseline cell, not the end one. So nothing happens. But nothing happens with the conclusion of the paper. But Dr. George is still anxious. He's like, okay, there's something wrong. I'm not happy. He ordered 2 senior researchers, Xavier and Zed, to go to Donnie's lab and check everything. Check the notebook, check the image, check even the published work. And then Dr. George went to the department chair and informed him that, okay, I found some duplication of the images in some of these papers going on. Discussion. So at this point, should Dr. George go to the department chair? And number 2, are there anyone else that Dr. George should notify? So it's something in his lab and he went up to like a higher administrative level. Go to share. And 2, should, oh, too many shoulds. Should there be anyone else to be informed? Okay, people say, yeah, there's something going on. We should go to the department chair. Okay, I assume yes, because people thumb up for me. And should we tell anybody else about this? So right now, people who know is Donnie, Eric, George, maybe Xavier and Zed, and now is chair. Okay, Ratapon, thank you. This decision should be based on the severity and urgency. Okay. And Rennie said, Dr. Cho should contact Chair, and I think he needs to inform Ethic Committee, me. Okay. Okay. So some people say we should contact, some people say maybe should not. Anne said we should also contact the publisher. Something's going on, right? Because the publisher is publishing something that is not correct at the moment. Okay. Now that's a big deal. Okay. So yeah. Let me clear a little bit. So Dr. George, he found something wrong and he goes to the chair. This depends on country. Each country have different law. So if it's in America, yes, you go up to that level. But I think in Thailand right now, the law is not quite clear. So sometimes the head of lab can resolve it at now. But personally, I think you should notify the chair. Okay, this is going on, and maybe consult what should we do? Should we investigate? Should we punish? Like, what is the action we should do? And for the paper, for the publication, you can notify them. If you see the example above, editors, once they get the notification, they can make an alert. We have been alerted, and now investigation is going on. That can happen. But what we notify them is that there is an investigation going on. It has not been finalized. You have to be very careful. If you find some misconduct, do not jump to conclusion until the end of the investigation, inquiry, whatever is going on. But you can notify everything with the proper status of the situation. Another thing that I did not see in the comments, don't forget that the papers on the publisher, you said notify journal, also notify all of the co-authors. We don't know who is on Donnie's paper, maybe another university or something. We also need to notify them because they gave accountability to that paper. So they need to know what is going to happen, right? Okay. EP4, keep going. Again, after lunch, Donnie came back. He just went to like D1, had some yogurt. Oh no, yogurt shop is not here anymore. And he went back to the office and like, oh my God, Xavier, Zed, why are you going through my notebooks? Donkey, not Donkey, no. Donnie was angry. He said, these notebooks are like diaries, private. And I made it clear no one touched them without my permission. Xavier said, Dr. George orders us to check your work. And I also guess you know why. And he added, where is the data of your first paper that you published 2 years ago? To surprise, Donnie answered, I threw them all away last year because I figured that the work is all published and I need more space on my desk. So I don't need the original data. We call it primary data. Sounds a little bit weird, right? And Zed, who's also at the desk, also said, and where are the instrument printouts? The results you discussed in the group meeting earlier, maybe yesterday or something. Donnie replied, I don't keep instrument printouts. I just analyze the data and I just throw it away. Besides, we're scientists, we are not clerks, like that. So now that's a little bit weird. No data, no primary data on Donnie. Okay, there's quite a lot of questions here. Number one, so each researcher have a notebook, right? So who does the notebook belong to? Should it be the researcher? Should it be the PI, that's the primary investigator, the department, the lab, university, funding agent, the NIH, that is like the ministry, something? Who do you think can look into the notebooks? It's starting to make my head hurts, right? Don't know what to answer. And who should have access to, should have access to data? in lab. Okay, Wahani said everybody. It belongs to everybody. Right? What did I do? I think the comment disappeared somehow. Okay, what type of data should be retained? And where? Okay, I'm gonna combine question 3 and 4 together. Okay, so somebody said I saw it, but I think I entered a new comment and it disappeared. They say the notebook should belong to everybody. So is anybody in any lab and you can go through everybody's notebook? Is that okay? Haibun said it should belong to the owner. Okay. Okay. What about Dr. George? Should Dr. George be able to see the notebooks? Okay. Okay, Shin said notebooks should belong to department. Because you work there, the lab is the department stuff, so department should have access. Okay. Because if they keep the notebook alone, nobody can see the data, right? Nobody can see maybe you're working too slow or something. Only researchers and relative departments. Okay. Should ask the owner first. Well, yes. Dr. Church also issue a notification to Donnie. Yeah, that sounds very nice, Maya, before allowing that. And data access should belong to people who work on the topic. And Donnie should also improve professionality. Yeah, he sounds a bit too angry right now. Notebook should belong to laboratory and data should be accessed to all co-author, editor, and Dr. George. Okay. So yeah, thank you. Very fruitful discussion. So the thing is about data access. It depends on country. So in Thailand, there's no clear law at the moment. But if you go to US, the owner of these notebook, it goes all the way up to the department. So individual researcher, PI is Dr. George because he got the funding, and department. Laboratory is under department actually. So everybody's like the owner. And they can request to go look into the work. But normally you cannot go in directly like this because sometimes there's like some, how should I say this? It's not like competition, but it sometimes is competition because if some researchers work fast, they become like the favorite. Some researchers are slow, they become not favorite. So researcher and researcher, if they're from different topic, no, but they're on the same project, yes. And Dr. George should be able to go in all the time. But for in terms of access, if the department wants to go in, there has to be some notification, right? There's some issue going on, I want to check like that. So that should be fine. And also, what data should be retained? I don't see much comments on that. But normally, like in this situation, the issue is that we call it primary data. So those are important data before you analyze your results. Those should be kept. And where it should be kept? It should not go home with the researcher because this is like research from the department. It should stay there, maybe in Dr. George's office or another copy at the department somewhere. Because if situations like this come up in other years, there's an issue, there's an allegation, researchers should be able to demonstrate and defend their statement. So primary data has to be kept. You can do like a copy, maybe on CD, keep it in cloud storage or something, but it should not be destroyed like Donnie said. Donnie said like it's published, done by, like no. Because published data are often averages, conclusion, analysis. the raw data is not shown most of the time, except you have like supporting supplementary material stuff. So primary data should actually be stored in this case. The case keep getting weird. Okay. Let's move on. Why can't I go on? Okay. EP5, so many episodes. So right now, Eric again, the hothead scientist, Eric said he feels uneasy because at first he just started working, he helped Donnie, and he was happy he got a name on the paper. But now he's not so sure because that paper is likely to go under investigation soon. So he was thinking that last meeting he said, Donnie was talking about DNA. So he wanted to check something. He went to look at the cell log, like the log how many cells they brought in, they grow, and he compared them to Donnie's experiment. What he discovered is that 2 of those cell lines in Donnie's table were not even at the lab at the meeting. So they were not even grown enough. They were still in the stock center. So the stock center is some place where they grow the cells. When the cells are fully grown enough, then you can do experiment. So again, he was super shocked. He went to George to talk about this. I think Dr. George is going to get a migraine right now. So next day, Dr. George called Donnie and confronted him. What were you doing? The cells were not even in the lab. Where did this result come from? So Donnie said the number of RNA table were not from analysis, but it was his best estimate. He just knows the trend and he just put in the numbers. Donnie defended. I know what the results would look like because he was working on this topic for a very long time and he's confident. And you also know that the top class cancer research journal, the process is like so long. If we wait too long, others lab might publish before us and we waste our time and money. But don't worry. I know that the paper will request for revision, and at that time, I would send them the actual RNA analysis. Eric just was not having it. He said, sure thing, but how can I believe that this time you will put in the real data? It sounds so like, oh no. Okay. Donnie said, easy. I've done this all the time. And everybody was so shocked right now. Dr. George was like, what else did you submit estimated data? Donnie said, lots of time, like the first paper that we did, and you were upset about the figure. But don't worry, I never try to deceive anyone. And all of these actions have never changed the conclusion of any paper. Dr. George was so upset right now. He went back to the computer. He opened the manuscript 2 years ago. So he compared the one he had in the computer and he compared with the reprint, the one published side by side. The thing is, the trends are the same, but the data was not the same. Oh my God, Donnie, what did you do? So now this is going into misconduct territory. Is Donnie method fabrication or falsification? Donnie method fabrication or falsification? Number 2, should conclusion be drawn? Conclusion. Oh, my fingers are cold. Be done in submission or final. 3. Is Donnie, should we consider? Donnie said he did not conceive. He did not receive. Number 4, should we consider at the end all real data published? Okay, let's only take these 4. There's so many questions. Okay, so now we know what Donnie is doing. Do you think Donnie is doing fabrication or falsification or both? So did he put in real data? No. He put in something called estimate. So he saw a trend like, okay, 10, 15. The next one he's like, 20 estimation. Okay, so thank you, Maya. It is fabrication, right? Because estimated data is not real. Science lab cannot be subjectively interpreted. Thank you, that is nicely said. He would eventually deceive everybody at the end, and there is no benefit because data is not real. Yeah. So yeah, Maya, you summarize it very nicely. So number 1, top and only. Those data are not real. Estimate, there's no word of estimate, they are not real. And by doing that, although he said he did not intend to deceive, but he deceived by his actions. So that is like opposite from his words. They're not going together. But the thing that is most puzzling is that the conclusion didn't change because after revision, he put in the real data and no harm done. So what should we do? Should we take the paper down? Oh, my head hurts. Even my head hurts right now. It's very, let's say, very difficult to answer. Most of the time it goes to the final question. The decision has to go up to the editors of the journal, actually, because there are cases like this when there's some error going on and researchers like call, editor, sorry, this figure, I messed it up. Here's a new one. And when the new one goes in, actually nothing changed. Conclusion is still that intervention B is better than intervention A. Like that's the conclusion. So yeah, sometimes editors like, okay, I'll let it slide. I'll just keep a note that there were some corrections and nothing changed. Or some editors like, investigation, I need to see what's going on, like that. So this is a very gray area at the moment. Let's continue to make our head hurt. EP6, Dr. West. So he is the chair that Dr. George has went to. And Dr. West went up to the director, the highest authority up there. The thing is, director said that, okay, I know this is going on, but we should do the inquiry smooth and quiet. So he doesn't want it to be a big scene because it's damaging to the image of the institute. So he said that if all we have to do is gather information, let Dr. George's people, who is already looking into it, be the inquiry committee. No one else need to get involved. So Dr. West ordered Dr. George to submit the written report that Xavier and Zed was doing. Okay. So after 2 weeks, Xavier and Zed, they completed their reports. There's information of duplicated images, use of estimated data, also some missing primary data, like the notebooks are gone. So Dr. George reviewed, made some edits, and sent it to Wes, and then Wes forward everything to director, as he was told. Okay. So number 1, are the members of the lab the best person to review this case? Or member of lab, best people to review case? Okay. Should the head of lab or co-author be involved in the inquiry? Because people only look into Donnie, but there's other co-author, right? Should we go look into them? Should we look into other co-authors? And the final one is, did Wes fulfill his orders? So if something like this goes on, should your, oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Okay. Okay. Did I press something? What's this? Okay. So, do you think it's okay to let other researchers, sort of like check another researcher's work only? And should we only check Donnie? Should we also check like other co-authors? Because right now we only have a situation on Donnie, but the whole paper has many co-authors. Should we go look into them? And finally, did Wes do what he was asked to do? I think the director said that there has to be an inquiry committee, right? Did he do that? Did he form any committee, or did the committee do any work at all? It's a hard case, right? Yeah, Maya had another question. I also was a little bit about that. There was a sentence that Dr. George made edit to the report, right? What happened? What did he do? And there might be a bias because people want to protect the name, like political. True. So as everybody see, there's some problem with transparency here, right? Number one, the inquiry committee only has the researcher, which are people in the lab. We have no idea, does Xavier and Zed like or hate Donnie, right? They're quite close. So actually the inquiry committee should have a third party, maybe somebody from somewhere else who have no idea what's going on, to review on the information objective, right? And to be fair, also fair to Donnie, because we don't know what others co-author have done or may not have done. So investigation should be done in a equally manner. And finally, I don't think Dr. West has fulfilled his job, because no inquiry committee was done, right? He only like gathered information and stuff. Okay, I'm taking lots of time here. I'm trying to make it a little bit fast. Okay, EP7. So director, they review everything, and they talk with administration, and administration said, do misconduct investigation, order down. So in that investigation, they exclude Dr. George and other co-author because they say, everything come from Donnie. Let's go straight to Donnie. So they inform Donnie, inform George, inform Wes, and inform the NIH, that is the funding agency, that we are going to do investigation on Donnie. Then Dr. George, he was contemplating like, oh, what should he do? Situation is so bad. So let's make a full disclosure and cut away Donnie. So he dismissed Donnie, like, Donnie, you're fired, go home. And he terminated his salary because he got salary from NIH. That's why they notified them, like, go home, you're fired, no money for you, bye. And after consulting with all the co-authors, not Donnie, because he fired him, Dr. George wrote to the journal to ask for a retrack. Situation is so bad right now. Discussion. Do you also conclude that the investigation on Donnie is justified? Like, is the component enough to order a science misconduct? Is the case on Donnie? No, not the case. Is the investigation of Donnie justified? It's like, is it enough to do that? Number two, should only Donnie be investigated? And number 3, is Dr. George action justified? Dr. George goes straight to journal to do retract, right? Okay. So yeah, we know that Donnie is the one who did the fabrication something. But do you think is that enough to do a conduct? Actually, okay, because I think the urgency of time I have, I'm gonna try to like run through you. You can comment along the way, okay? So normally if you find evidence, like solid evidence, not just like words, not just like rumors, solid evidence, images that are copied, that is actually enough to launch an investigation. But to launch or not to launch, it also depends on the administration. And in this case, administration is serious. So that's quite okay according to the information. But when you launch an investigation, remember, never single out or discriminate on anyone. So in this case, the misconduct is found in that paper. So investigation should involve all stakeholders. Everybody involved in that paper should also be investigated. If they're innocent, it's okay. They can prove they're innocent, right? But right now you're going straight to Donnie alone. And even for Dr. George, he already decided, right? He already made judgment. He jumped to conclusion that Donnie's bad. I don't want him anymore. And he terminates him or everything. That is quite too premature, too fast. Because if the investigation comes out like he's not guilty, then George is somehow like harming Donnie for no reason, right? So maybe if an investigation is going on, have patience, have faith, wait for the entire thing is done, get your decision, and then your action after that. Because if you talk to the paper, a verdict from an investigation is much more better than an opinion from co-authors or one of the authors. And you're also excluding Donnie out of that. So it's quite hard. Okay, I think if there's people from School of Law, they can explain it better than me. Okay, episode 8. During that time, Donnie was on a bright path because he had very good CV, lots of paper. He has paper in his PhD. In the hot lab, he also has paper. And he had a successful interview at a other university. He was going to go there and start his own lab. So in addition, Dr. George, he sent letters to every single university that Donnie applied to and told him about the accusation and the planet investigation, not the results. And he's also retracting all of his letter of recommendation. So in response, one of the university that already accepted Donnie withdrew their offer. So this is so bad for Donnie right now. So again, at the time of concern, Dr. George has already sent out the letter of recommendation, but right now, is it his job that he should tell those institute? Okay, some lines coming up. Is it his job that he tell those institute about he's gonna change his letter? Is that a good thing to do? And suppose that Dr. George has not written the letter of recommendation at all, should he tell the potential employers about the pending investigation? So this is going into like authoritative or law areas. Number 1, if there's an obligation or accusation going on, actually it's not quite appropriate to tell other people right now because the investigation has not occurred. You can alert them that, okay, there is a planned investigation going on, so maybe you can postpone the process. You would like to wait for the result to come up before you sort of like give the position to Donnie or not, but not entirely like rejecting him right now. everything is a little bit too premature. Although we know the outcome that it might be bad, but yeah, you shouldn't do that. And even if Dr. George did not have any letter of recommendation, informing them might not be that appropriate because he had nothing to do at all. So normally, for example, if I did something bad here at MFU and I'm going to get fired, so I got fired and I go to another university to apply, should the university tell the other one like what I did, something like that? Normally in custom, it's not necessary, only if it's required by law, depending on the severity. But the recipient, the ending part that is going to receive me, like the HR, they should sort of like gather information on their own. So you should wait for them to ask, something like that. Because sometimes some issues that happen here might not happen at the new place if they change job or something. So it's a little bit premature at this time. EP9. So right now, the chair of research, so another chair, he made the committee to do investigation. And committee had only people from the biolab of the hot lab. So again, his friends. And they review evidence and they interview people at the hot labs and the co-authors at the university. In Donnie's interview, he said he did not do anything wrong. He did not do misconduct. He never intended to deceive, and all his data were derived from actual primary data. He said he did not fabricate anything. He even said that I thought that was how we prepare manuscript because nobody told me not to do this. When he was a graduate at Large Lab University, my advisor wrote everything for me. And some of my data is even lost. So he thought it was okay. And I did not know I need to keep data after publish. I'm a bad clerk. I don't like to keep documents. That is not a crime. So that is what Donnie is trying to argue. So the question here, the composition of the committee, I think this is quite the same that the case with Saber and said. It's only people from the biolab of the hot lab. People might think that, okay, because people in the same lab, they know the nature of the work, so they should be there. That's fine, but not all of them. Don't forget, we need to have third-party people in there. Number two, Donnie's defense of naivete, like naive, like, I don't know, nobody told me. Is it okay to do that? Actually, even if we don't have the ICMJE or the guidelines on ethics and stuff, we know one thing is that science have to be made on facts. We need to be honest because if we don't build up on facts, if we build up on fake, eventually everything will just crumble down. It's not long lasting. So naivete cannot be used in cases like this. So what should the scientific community do to prevent further, I don't know? People's like, I don't know, I'm not wrong. Actually, as we all have learned today, there are lots and lots of guidelines coming out. So that is one attempt the scientific community is trying to do. The other attempt is each institute, like even country, like Thailand or your university, there should be a guideline or regulation going on to prevent these. You need to be a little bit proactive because technology is going fast, AI is even coming. We don't know how much fabrication is going on. Okay, final episode. The investigation committee concluded Donnie is guilty. So they say that this guilty is because fabrication, you use multi-copied image, you submit fake data, estimated data, and moreover, Donnie has very questionable action. You destroy data. Are you trying to prevent people from double checking you? It's not quite clear. You did not keep a record, and you also deny other scientists of access. So the hot lab administrator took action. They sent the report to NIH, but they did not punish Donnie anymore because they say, we already fired him. He's not doing science. And last time checked, Donnie is going to MBA. He's going to start a new life in an entirely new field because he cannot stay in science anymore. Okay, story sounds quite bad. So this is the end of our 10 episode. Is the conclusion okay here? Or should there be anything that the hot lab or NIH punish Donnie in this case? So for this thing, I think sometimes they might think that because Donnie is already gone, right? So they don't want to do anything. But normally, if you look back at the case of Wang affair, the stem cell thingy, because he was not fired before he got the guilty verdict, the university stripped him from all academic position. He was a professor, now he's not. His PhD was rescinded, so he did not have that title anymore. And he also was banned from doing research in this field in South Korea, to be precise, for like 10 years or something. So we cannot take people to prison for these actions at the moment in these certain areas, but these are the punishment that we do. So in case of Donnie, actually there has to be some statement going on, some notification like, okay, this scientist did this, and this is the verdict. So everybody know, if he goes anywhere, keep in mind, if you want him to work in biotech again, you have to check his work or be cautious of him or something. And NIH, actually that is the funding agency. Normally funding agency, they can also do some type of punishment because there's a commitment. When you sign the contract to get the money, your science has to be fact. You have to do it at the utmost correct. You have to minimize misconduct as much as possible, anything like that. So NIH can blacklist him, actually. Even if he goes into MBA, he might be able to get funding for research in, I don't know, business and accounting aspects or stuff. So NIH can also blacklist him for like, I don't know, 5 year, 10 year, something like that. So he can work as help, as assistant and stuff, but he should not be ahead of a research team or something because we are afraid he might repeat his actions again. Okay, so that is all for my talk for today. It's very long. I took you guys here for almost 3 hours, so thank you very much for bearing with me. So I hope that you all understand the importance of credibility in science. I think everybody understands that. If you have credit scores in your credit card, if it's bad, you cannot get a loan and stuff, it's quite the same. So science misconduct is something we should not do. Could I say we must not do? But we might do it by mistake sometime. There's lots of AI going on. We might forget to notify everything. So whenever you're doing your manuscript, your experiment, be careful, be thoughtful. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Sometimes there might be some situation that's you are like, is this okay to do or not? It's okay. Science is about questions, asking the right question. So go to your supervisor, go to your department leader, go to science division, something, or come to ethics committee. That's fine. But actually, these topics, to make things straight, there was some comment about the ethics committee, about the inquiry stuff, right? Normally, science misconduct has to be handled by the research integrity committee, not the ethics committee. So but the ethics committee like me, I need to understand the research integrity issue. So that's why I was able to show you guys all the cases and talk today. But when this happens, actually, there's another committee that involves more like administrative and laws and everything. So yeah, from this talk, don't be afraid of science. Don't be afraid of research. And you're a master or PhD. I hope you good luck in your endeavor and try to make it as good as you can. Take your time, don't rush. Okay. Will we have recording of this presentation? I think we have to ask Jinapat. I think they have. Yeah. The graduate office recorded everything. You can contact them, I think. And okay, thank you for inspiring talk about plagiarism. Actually, it's talk about like science misconduct. Plagiarism is just one of that. Okay, so yeah, I hope. Oh, before I go, is there any questions? I forgot. Maybe one or two or anything before we sign off for today. Everybody looks hungry for lunch. Okay, วันวลีอินปิ่น thank you วันวลีอินปิ่นนี่อาจารย์วันวลีใช่ไหมครับ ใช่ไหม Oh my god ดิฉันพูดให้อาจารย์คนอื่นฟังเลยนี่โอเคครับ Thank you for your comment ครับ
ค่ะ Thank you, Dr. Chakree, for your informative and insightful presentation today. And we hope that all of you have gained a valuable knowledge to apply in your own research already. But before we officially close today's session, please take a few moments to complete the feedback survey that we leave it on the chat box. And after you complete the survey, you will receive the link to request for the certificate. And once again, thank you, Dr.Chakree Chumvisoot Wattanasiri, for sharing your expert, and thank you all of participants for attending today. We hope to see you at a future event. And for today, we hope you have a good Saturday. Thank you and goodbye.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, as Jinapat said, don't forget to do the evaluation form. Yeah, if you like it, you say you like it. If you hate it, it's okay. If you want a different case, you can say I can try finding it. There's like lots of cases to be going. I like reading cases a lot actually. Okay, and also have a wonderful Saturday. The weather is quite clear in Chiang Rai, no rain, quite cool. Have a nice lunch and have a nice day. Okay. โอเคครับเราไม่ต้องถ่ายรูปใช่ไหมหรือเปล่า
ไม่
ใช่
ต้อง
ไหม
ถ่ายค่ะอาจารย์เรียบร้อย
โอ
ค่ะ
เค โอเคครับ so okay oh sorry stop sharing โอเค แล้วก็เดี๋ยวคุณจินภัทรใช่ไหม พอดีว่าสไลด์อาจารย์เนื่องจากอาจารย์ไปเพิ่มโลโก้อะไรตอนท้ายสุดมันก็เลยทำให้ฟอร์แมตรวนนิดหน่อย เดี๋ยวอาจารย์แก้ให้อาจจะเย็นนี้บ่ายๆนิดนึงไปตรวจข้อสอบก่อน แล้วเดี๋ยวผมส่งให้ใครดี ส่งให้จินภัทรไหม
ส่งทางอีเมลก็ได้ค่ะอาจารย์เดี๋ยวหนูแชร์ให้ผู้เข้าร่วมทุกคนเลยค่ะ
โอเค ได้ครับ เดี๋ยวผม
ขอบพระคุณ
แก้ให้เสร็จ แล้วผมส่งให้จินภัทรแล้วจินภัทรค่อยส่งให้ participant นะครับ ได้
ขอบพระ
ค
คุณ
รับ
ค่ะอาจารย์
โอเคครับ ก็ขอบคุณทุกท่านนะครับ สวัสดีไปแล้วไปกินข้าวแล้วเหมือนกัน โอเคครับ เดี๋ยวรีบไปนะจินภัทรไปแล้วนะโอเคครับ สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์